Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm here because of my son. He's not allowed to go to school. See that? I just took my other kids to school and dropped them off. I have one that attends school with him, and I just dropped her off, and he's not allowed to be on the ground because I disagree to an intake for DAP. They assigned him to DAP, and I disagree with the punishment of why they put him in there. And
9 a.m. to
all right,
5 p.m.
I anyway, I disputed it and disagreed, but simply because I can understand if it's a child who had a weapon, who was intentionally trying to harm anybody or harm someone, who was caught with drugs, anything like that, you know. But that's not, who was maybe even fighting. He didn't do that. This is what he did. We was in a meeting. We was in the midst of having meetings, art meetings, and I had been disagreeing with them. And so I sometimes wonder if there's something fishy about this meeting because it's how it happened. Right after I had the second meeting, I believe, the second art meeting, we had to reconvene. He ended up went to school one day. He was doing a fundraiser, and he ended up having to was told to go to the office to get an ID. He had just got money from a teacher who had ordered something from him. When he got there, the staff clerk, saw the money in his hand and just yanked it. She didn't ask for it. She didn't, tell him let her have it. She just takes it out of his hand. And he tells her, I have to have that back. That's not my money. It's not my money at all. She said, well, no, I'm not giving it. She kept telling him no. So they kept going back and forth. He's newly diagnosed with type 1 diabetes since of July of this year. He also have ADHD. Well, you're not supposed to argue with him. It's even in his IP. Do not go back and forth. What I couldn't understand is at this time, if he's still trying to get the money back, why didn't she just give the money back or call for security or a principal to help her? Why did she just sit there? And so she kept telling him no. So, of course, the situation escalated. And he does do the unthinkable. He goes behind the desk where the clerk was, and he grabbed the money bag. Now, here's the thing about it. The money bag, I couldn't understand. If you got a child that's telling you they want their money back, you be done called security by now. Not only that, you be done put the bag in a drawer somewhere. She puts it in her armpits. And so when he came and grabbed it was in her armpit. So you can see why if someone yanking on you can see why it look like you're pushing and shoving that person. They're saying he assaulted her. He won't even touch the girls at their house. So I know he's not going to put his hand on the female. And in the midst of that, she was like, it was like the principal called me and said that he assaulted a teacher and that he has to, he has 3-day suspension. And because I requested his homework, he also had an in-school suspension. And they told me that his sugar wasn't the reason, because, sometimes they tell you got to check their sugar. And they was like, but his sugar been high for a while, and it's not the reason why he took actions the way he did. He was trying to take matters in his own hand, and I've always taught him you cannot make a grown-up do anything. You need to allow me to take, stand and do whatever I need to do. But anyway, he took matters in his own hands, pretty much is what he did. And so I agree with the suspension because it taught him a lesson, not to this, whenever something like this happening, you don't go to the grown-up, you get help. And so what really got me is they decided to take him out of his general ed placement for 4 to 5 days and put him in DAP. Now, I disagree with that because to me, he wasn't trying to harm her at all. He was trying to get his money. Therefore, there is no reason for them to pull him out of his mainstream. He has to be accommodated. And I think all this happened because we was in meetings and I was addressing the issues about the safety of his care for his diabetic care. And they did not want him to go to after school activities. They kept telling me that they didn't have no one. And when I started addressing the issue, how it is required by law that they have at least one staff member fully trained and everything to be there always. And they was like, well, we're not gonna have nobody just for trade, or they well, I was just making an excuse to exclude him. He was pulled out. We was tricked into pulling him out of football because they didn't want to deal with it. And then I started letting him go to. At first, I stopped him from going to practice for ROTC simply because they wasn't checking his sugar. He has to get his sugar checked 3 times before he started his activity. In the midst, if it's at least 45 minutes long, to make sure they can drop so he can get a snack, and afterwards. And he wasn't getting checked at all. In fact, the teacher didn't even know anything about it. He was trying to tell the teacher how to do it. And so Monday last week, he came home from his practice, hadn't been checked, and all of a sudden, within 30 minutes to an hour, his sugar dropped really low from the activity. And it's because they didn't check him. And he didn't have a snack to replace that activity that he used up, that energy. So I had addressed that, and then in the midst they trying to say he assaulted a teacher, and I don't see that this was an assault at all, but in their eyes it was assault. So here's the big deal is, because I disagree to take an intake, because I feel that as a parent with parental rights for my child, for his education, I feel that if I disagree, then I should be able to disagree without being forced to still implement what they say. It says the school can implement, but it didn't say I have to follow along. So I disagree to take an intake. So because I disagree, the DAEP program won't take him in. And they said because the school signed him to DAEP, he can't be a part of the program unless I come to the intake. And furthermore, they allow him to sit there without giving him his insulin. Why? Because of this right here. Instead of just treating him. They didn't treat him until I mentioned it. And I said, so you say he's there and y'all have not even given him his insulin? Well, we didn't know. We didn't know nothing about it. We didn't know he was a diabetic. That's why you're supposed to take the intake. I said, no. The school should have shared the information. It's whether I was there or not. The school should have shared the information for the sake of my child, but they didn't. So anyway, he told me, he said this was the principal at the DAEP program. He was like, well, we can't take him in, and if you don't come pick him up, then they're going to turn him into the police just because I'm going to pick him up. And it's just because I won't agree to do an intake. And I said, well, I'm not picking him up unless y'all send me a reason why. Email me a reason why I have to pick up my child. And they said, well, ma'am, we don't have to. We don't have to. You have to follow the bylaws. We don't have to you have to take that over to school. So they called, I guess, let the school know. And the school called, the principal called me. And they said, well, we don't have to do anything, you need to come and pick up your child. And I say, when you send me something in my email stating why I have to pick up my child, then I'll pick up my child. I'm not going to pick him up. And they just kept intimidating me and throwing threats that, one of the officers were like, well, we're gonna call CPS on you. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. I felt to myself this would be a reason of showing why, because I didn't abandon him, and I wasn't mistreating him. They were. And so they sent a notice through the email, and I went to pick up my child. And I decided something in my heart to say something ain't going to be right. So I decided to live stream it on Facebook as I'm walking into the office. And I didn't understand why it took 2 officers and 2 principals to escort him out. They thought they were going to say something to me. They came towards me when they saw the phone in my hand doing this. They didn't say nothing. They just stopped. Just gave me a smile. And I walked out with my child because all I wanted to do was to grab my child. I didn't want to talk to them and get out. So I felt that I was not going to experience that had I not had the live stream going on. And it's sad simply because they didn't want him to be in after school activities, so that they didn't want the extra care for him. They decided to do this to me. This is my assumption, in my opinion, that because he never did assault. I can understand if he was trying to hit the lady, if he was punching on her. I understand if he had a weapon, if he had drugs or whatever. But it's all because he was trying to grab a money bag to get his money back. He wasn't trying to get that money. He wanted that money that she took from him so he can be able to pay the fundraising money for his choir dues. And to me, I don't think he deserved to be, you know, in DAP for that. I just don't. I can understand if I agree to it, then yes. But I disagree with it. And because of that, he's not able to go to school. And they're throwing Trent against me every day that he missed school. So this is the second day. So yeah, I don't know what to do. But it's like if I agree, they won't take him. If he goes on campus ground, they'll arrest him. Because before I even got there, before they sent send me the letter. I mean, through the email, they already had handcuffed him. He even said one of the officers told the principal she was doing too much, and she didn't even care. She didn't care. So it's like you ask her to do this work when you sign up for the job, and there was no reason for you to mistreat this child the way you did. So now he's out of school. He's not getting a free education. He's not being fairly treated. His education is neglected. He's academically neglected. His medical was neglected, and so now here we are in the car when he should have been in school. So I just wanted to come and share his stories. Comment down below what do you think. Because parents, we got to just look. We have to stand our ground. The schools are going to continue to run over us and continue to take away our children's rights if we don't stand our ground. If we don't stand our grounds. And so, yes, I'm a parent that's standing my grounds, and I have to stand for the right of my child. They're not letting him in school. He can't go to school. He can't be on campus. I can't even attend. One of my children have a function today. And because, I don't, he is a diabetic, and I don't really have a lot of support of people who can help me with him when I need to leave him somewhere. We can't go. I can't go. I had two that had an event on Friday, and I couldn't go. And it's just sad. It's just really, really sad. Excuse me for the sun and everything. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. You guys have a great day. Comment down below what you think. Send me some encouraging words. Those who's out there to knock me special teachers. I'm not out there to knock these teachers. I'm just fighting for my child's educational rights. And y'all know this is wrong. It's really wrong. So, I'm not being mean or disrespectful to teachers at all. I just feel that they are bullying me and my child just because we won't agree to their recommendation, and their recommendation is not fair. It's not fair at all. Have a nice day. Goodbye.